Okay, so let's be honest. Uh, who doesn't want to get better sleep rate? I
Mhm.
mean, we all want to be well rested, I feel like, but these days, it's so tough.
It really is.
In this deep dive, we're going to dig into the actual science behind getting a good night's rest.
Yes.
And we're going to go beyond just like the basic tips and tricks.
Absolutely.
We have two main sources for this one. There's this video that has all these like food recommendations for better sleep.
Right.
And then we also have this scientific explainer that really breaks down like the how and the why of sleep.
It's kind of like we're looking at sleep through two different lenses.
I like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I am always fascinated by how many different things go into getting a good night's rest.
Right.
Right off the bat, this video recommends keeping your bedroom at 65 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, wow.
Is that really like a magic number?
It's more than just feeling cozy in your bedroom.
Okay.
That temperature actually helps your body's natural sleep process.
So as you drift off to sleep, your core temperature drops naturally.
Okay.
And that drop actually signals to your pineal gland to release melatonin,
Melatonin.
which is the hormone that makes you feel drowsy and ready for sleep.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
So those of us who tend to run warm at night, maybe we're like messing with our melatonin production without even realizing it.
exactly. And studies have actually shown that people who have insomnia, a lot of times they don't experience that same temperature dip.
Hmm.
So think about it this way, setting your thermostat, before bed, it's not just about being comfortable, it's about actually getting your body ready for sleep.
Okay, so I'm picturing like my thermostat now having its own bedtime routine.
Exactly.
So speaking of setting the stage for sleep, let's talk about light, or I guess the lack of light.
Right.
Both of our sources talk about this, but they come at it from different angles.
Yeah.
So the video really stresses avoiding blue light, especially from your phone, before you go to bed.
Yeah, that's important because blue light has a really strong effect on your circadian rhythm.
Okay.
And your circadian rhythm is kind of like your body's internal clock.
Hmm. Uh-huh.
It keeps everything in sync with the 24-hour cycle of day and night.
So the blue light is messing with our conductor's tempo.
Exactly. When you're exposed to blue light at night, especially from devices, it's like you're tricking your brain into thinking that it's still daytime.
Oh, wow.
So it suppresses melatonin production, and it actually delays when you start to feel sleepy.
Huh. But the science explainer kind of takes it a step further. It's not just about avoiding blue light. It's about really embracing darkness in general to help with melatonin release.
Yes. Even just dimming the lights in the evening can actually make a big difference.
Really?
Yeah, it's all about sending those consistent signals to your body that it's time to start winding down for bed.
Okay, so we're talking dim lights, blue light filters on our devices, maybe even like a good old-fashioned book instead of scrolling on our phones.
Yeah. Exactly. You're kind of layering these strategies to create that perfect sleep environment.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now this is where it gets really interesting, the food connection.
Oh, yeah.
This video lists some pretty surprising sleep-promoting foods. Cherries, kiwis, fatty fish kefir, even sauerkraut.
Wow.
So I'm intrigued, but I need more than just a grocery list. Like, how do these foods actually help us sleep?
Well, they work in different ways. For example, tart cherries,
Mm-hmm.
they actually use melatonin in them naturally.
Oh, really?
And they also have tryptophan,
Okay.
which is an amino acid that gets converted into, guess what?
More melatonin.
More melatonin.
Oh.
And there are actually studies that show that drinking tart cherry juice can increase melatonin levels and help you sleep longer. It's like nature's sleep aid.
Okay, I'm sold. Sign me up for a cherry smoothie.
Oh.
What about kiwis, though? They don't really seem like a typical sleepy time snack.
Kiwis are really interesting because they're full of serotonin.
Okay.
And serotonin is actually a precursor to melatonin. And research has shown that if you eat kiwis regularly, it can improve your sleep quality and how long you sleep.
So it's not just about a quick fix. It's about actually incorporating these foods into your regular diet?
Exactly. And it's not just about the individual nutrients either.
Okay.
Some of these foods like kefir and sauerkraut, they actually support a healthy gut microbiome.
Wait a minute. Gut health affects sleep.
There's more and more research showing that there's a really strong gut-brain connection.
Interesting.
And a balanced gut microbiome can actually have a positive effect on your sleep patterns.
Wow.
There needs to be more research on it, though.
Okay.
But it's definitely a fascinating area to keep an eye on.
So it sounds like food can play a supporting role, but it's not the whole story.
Exactly. Food can be a powerful tool, but it works best when it's part of a bigger approach to improving your sleep.
Okay.
And that brings us to the concept of sleep hygiene.
Sleep hygiene. Okay, so we've got this internal orchestra conductor, our circadian rhythm, and it needs the right cues to keep our sleep cycles, like, in harmony.
I like that analogy.
Right.
Yeah, and one of the biggest cues that we can give our circadian rhythm is consistency.
Consistency.
Yeah, the science explainer really talks about how important it is to go to bed and wake up at around the same time, even on weekends.
Okay, but weekends were made for sleeping in. How do we balance, like, that urge to sleep in with the need for consistency?
It's less about being like a slave to the clock and more about keeping your internal orchestra conductor happy.
Okay.
If you're like drastically shifting your sleep schedule on the weekends,
Yeah.
it's like suddenly changing the tempo and the key signature of the music. And
Yeah.
that throws the whole orchestra off.
Okay, so maybe I can allow myself like an extra hour of sleep on the weekends. But I
No,
should try to avoid those like all-night movie marathons.
exactly. Those little shifts won't disrupt your rhythm too much.
Okay.
But what about those nights when, even with good sleep hygiene, we just lie there staring at the ceiling?
Oh, tell me about it. The video mentions a few things that can mess with melatonin production.
Right.
Alcohol, caffeine, nicotine, basically all the fun stuff.
Well, some are more fun than others.
True.
But yeah, you're right. Alcohol, it might make you feel sleepy at first,
Yeah.
but it actually disrupts your sleep later in the night, especially REM sleep,
Okay.
which is really important for memory and processing your emotions.
So that groggy feeling the morning after, maybe that's more about poor sleep quality and not just the alcohol itself.
Exactly. And then caffeine being a stimulant can stay in your system for hours.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's best to avoid it in the afternoon and evening if you want to fall asleep easily.
Okay.
And then nicotine is also known to mess with your sleep.
Right, right. The video also mentions medications like antidepressants that can interfere with sleep.
It's definitely a good idea to talk to your doctor about any side effects your medications might have.
Yeah.
They might be able to suggest alternatives or ways to adjust your meds to minimize sleep problems.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like anything that throws off our body chemistry can have a ripple effect on our sleep.
Right.
We already talked about like the foods that can help us sleep. Are there foods that we should try to avoid before bed?
The video cautions against eating big meals close to bedtime.
Okay.
Digesting food takes energy, and it can make it harder to fall asleep.
So a late snack is okay if you're really hungry, but maybe skip the late night pizza.
Exactly. It's all about finding what works best for your body.
Yeah, that's true. We've been really diving deep into the science of sleep,
Yeah.
but it's not just physical.
Right?
Stress and anxiety can keep anyone up at night.
Absolutely. Your mental and emotional state plays a huge role in how well you sleep.
For sure.
If your mind is racing with worries, it's really tough to relax enough to fall asleep.
So how do we quiet those racing thoughts? The science explainer suggests having like a consistent wind down routine.
Having a routine before bed really helps signal to your body and mind that it's time to transition into sleep mode.
Okay.
It could be anything, taking a warm bath, reading a book, listening to calming music, practicing relaxation techniques.
The video really highlighted the power of slow, deep breathing, especially through your nose.
That's a great technique.
Right.
Yeah, slow, deep breathing actually activates your parasympathetic nervous system,
Okay.
which is the system that's responsible for calming your body and mind down.
So it's like hitting the brakes on that stress response.
Exactly.
I love that we have this like built-in tool to calm our nervous system.
Right.
It's like a mini meditation that we can access anytime, anywhere.
Exactly. And you can incorporate deep breathing into your wind down routine. You can do it during the day to manage stress.
Yeah.
You can even do it when you're lying in bed trying to fall asleep.
Oh, that's a good idea. So it sounds like creating a sanctuary of calm, both in our environment and in our minds. That's key for a good night's rest.
You've got it. Dimming the lights, reducing noise, doing relaxing activities, and practicing mindfulness. All those things help make the transition to sleep smoother.
But what about those of us who try all those things and we still struggle?
Right.
What if we've optimized our environment, we've got good habits, and we still can't seem to catch a break when it comes to sleep?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
Super important to remember that we're all unique,
Yeah.
and what works for one person might not work for another.
For sure.
And sometimes even when we're doing everything right, there might be something else going on that needs to be addressed.
Like that broken ankle analogy that the science explainer talks about.
Exactly. If you're trying to run a marathon with a broken ankle, no amount of training or fancy running shoes is going to help you.
Right.
You need to take care of the injury first.
So when we're talking about sleep, that broken ankle could be a sleep disorder, like sleep apnea or insomnia.
Exactly. Those disorders can really mess with your sleep, and just making lifestyle changes might not be enough to fix them.
I see.
That's when it's really important to get help from a professional.
Yeah. It's like acknowledging that sometimes we need expert guidance to deal with these complex issues.
Absolutely, there's nothing wrong with getting help.
Yeah.
In fact, it's a sign of strength and being self-aware.
It's about taking charge of your well-being and recognizing that you deserve to sleep well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's the best way to get better sleep in the long run.
Speaking of taking charge, did you know that there are apps now that can track your sleep patterns?
Oh, wow.
And they can even offer you like personalized insights.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's amazing how technology can help us understand and improve our sleep.
Yeah.
But then again, sometimes technology is part of the problem.
Right.
The constant stimulation from screens can mess with our sleep.
For sure.
So it's really important to set boundaries with technology
Yeah.
and create those tech-free zones, especially in the hours before bed.
Maybe it's time to reclaim our bedrooms as like sanctuaries for sleep,
Yes,
free from all the distractions of screens and devices.
I love that. And remember, even taking small steps in that direction can make a big difference.
As we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm realizing that there isn't just one magic solution for better sleep.
Right.
It's about understanding all these different things that contribute to a good night's rest.
You said it perfectly.
You know?
Yeah, it's like we're taking all these different things from science, from psychology, and from our lifestyle choices,
Yeah.
and we're weaving them together to create a picture of well-being that includes good sleep.
I like that. And speaking of weaving things together, we've got one more part of this deep dive to go.
Yes.
We're going to explore some even more surprising and intriguing aspects of sleep, so make sure you join us for the grand finale.
Wow. It's amazing how much we've already learned about sleep,
I know, right?
And it feels like we're just getting started.
It does. It's really fascinating how this one thing, sleep, affects our bodies and our minds in such a big way.
So speaking of fascinating things, the scientific explainer talked about how sleep isn't just like an on-off switch. It's actually a process with these distinct stages.
That's such a key point. So instead of just being awake or asleep, our brains actually go through different sleep stages throughout the night.
Oh, okay.
And each stage has its own characteristics and brainwave patterns.
Huh. I've heard of REM sleep, where we dream.
Yeah.
Are there other stages too?
Yes. You start in light sleep, and then you move into deep sleep, and then finally you reach REM sleep.
Wow.
And each of these stages plays a really important role in restoring both our bodies and our minds.
So what's happening during those like non-dreaming stages?
Well, deep sleep is like your body's ultimate repair shop.
Okay.
It's when your muscles rebuild, your tissues regenerate, and growth hormone gets released.
Wow.
So it's really essential for your physical recovery and for feeling refreshed when you wake up.
So deep sleep is for the body, and then REM sleep is kind of where all the mental magic happens.
Exactly. During REM sleep, your brain is busy processing your emotions, consolidating memories, and it can even spark creativity.
Yeah. It's like your brain is running a defrag program,
Yeah.
making connections and filing away all the important information.
Okay, this is making me realize that it's not just about like how many hours of sleep you get.
Right.
It's about the quality of that sleep too.
Yes.
We need to make sure we're cycling through all of these different stages to really benefit.
Exactly. And that's where all those sleep hygiene tips that we talked about come in.
Yeah.
By creating that right sleep environment and, developing those healthy habits.
Yeah.
You're setting yourself up for success.
Right.
Your body can then naturally move through the different stages of sleep and get the most restorative rest possible.
Something I've always wondered about is why some people seem to need less sleep than others.
Oh, yeah.
Like they just thrive on less sleep. The video mentioned this, but it didn't really get into it.
That's a question that scientists have been trying to figure out forever.
Right.
Our sleep needs can be so different from person to person, and they're affected by so many things. Our genes, our age, our lifestyle, even our personality.
Oh, wow.
Some people are truly short sleepers, and they do just fine on less sleep,
Okay.
while other people need more rest to feel their best.
So there's no magic number of hours that works for everyone.
Not really. It's more about paying attention to your own body's cues
Yeah.
and figuring out how much sleep you need personally to feel energized and focused during the day.
So it's like finding your own sleep sweet spot instead of comparing yourself to other people.
Exactly.
Speaking of tuning in to our bodies, both the video and the explainer talked about how important breathing is for relaxation and sleep,
Oh, yes.
especially slow nasal breathing.
Breathing is such a powerful tool, and people don't always realize that.
Yeah.
So when you're breathing deeply and slowly,
Hmm.
you're activating that parasympathetic nervous system, which calms you down.
Right, right.
It's like hitting the relax button for your body and mind.
I love that we can practice this anytime, anywhere.
I know, right?
A few deep breaths can really make a difference when you're stressed or anxious.
Yeah, it's like a portable stress buster and sleep enhancer all in one.
I like it. So we've covered the science behind sleep, the importance of sleep hygiene,
Mm-hmm.
the different sleep stages, individual sleep needs, and the power of breathing.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we should remember on our quest for better sleep?
You know, one thing that's super important, the scientific explainer brought this up, is to remember that sometimes there could be underlying sleep disorders.
Right, right.
And they use that broken ankle analogy
Yes.
to show that sometimes lifestyle changes alone aren't going to cut it.
Right.
We can dim the lights, avoid caffeine, create a relaxing sleep environment.
Mm.
But if there's a medical condition like sleep apnea or insomnia,
Yeah.
we might need to talk to a doctor to address the root of the problem.
It's like taking charge of our well-being and realizing that we deserve quality sleep.
Exactly, and often that's the best way to really improve your sleep in the long run.
So after all of this, what's the biggest takeaway for our listeners? What do you want them to remember?
You know, the most important thing is to remember that sleep isn't a luxury. It's absolutely essential for good health and well-being.
Right.
And while there isn't a one-size-fits-all solution,
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
understanding the science behind sleep, figuring out your own individual needs, and trying out some of the strategies we discussed can really empower you.
Absolutely.
You can make positive changes
Yeah.
and start prioritizing this super important part of your life.
We've covered so much from temperature and light to food choices,
Yeah.
sleep hygiene, stress management techniques, and even the importance of getting professional help when you need it.
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
we've given our listeners a whole toolbox full of resources.
I love that analogy.
Aw.
And now it's up to them to experiment and find what works best for them.
Exactly. And as you're working on improving your sleep, be patient with yourself, celebrate the small wins, and most importantly, listen to your body.
That's such a great point. Our bodies are always giving us clues.
They are.
Sometimes we just need to pay attention to them. Exactly. So one last thought for our listeners.
Okay.
Think about your own sleep patterns and try to pick one small change you can make based on everything we talked about today.
Okay.
Even little tweaks can make a big difference.
I love that. Small changes, consistent effort, and a deep respect for the power of sleep.
That's it.
Sweet dreams, everyone.